We are live at 11:05, and this is BC with Spirit Cars. This is our live at 11:05, sponsored by SpiritCars.com. We have Stephanie again behind the camera. She's doing good. She did not too bad yesterday. What we're doing immediately, we tried to do it before this, but we had some technical difficulties. But immediately after this, we're going to continue with what I'm going to call Building a T-Bucket 101, Part 1. And we're going to put that on Facebook or on YouTube. We're going to go live with that. I've wanted to do a instructional video for years and years and years, and I've started the project multiple times. And this is kind of as close as we've been to doing it with the camera ready. We have Stephanie now that's ready to do it. We've got a couple projects going. So it may not be in absolute order, but we will get it up on T-Bucket TV on YouTube, labeled Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, however long it takes to get one done. And we'll still do our Facebooks like they are. There's random things. There's, cars everywhere here that we got to get going, so it won't be in sequence here. But what we have a T-Bucket. We have Ed. Ed is working pad. This is like lunchtime here. So the customer, this is a Spirit car, and the customer assembled it. And the customer had the body too and brought it back and wanted us to paint it and finish it, and we're just going to get it painted, reassembled, the body's going to be painted, I'm going to wire it, and it's going to be delivered back to the customer. He'll put his own motors. So he has assembled all this. And I don't remember, this looks like the way we do brake lines, so possibly we ran the brake lines already. You can see it's all been assembled, it's all been put together. So now what Ed's doing is taking it apart. And he did a good job. He's got some huge tires and wheels, so he's got big giant back spacers there. So as Ed's taking it apart, Ed is very meticulous. That's one thing, Ed, you are meticulous. So I see he's got his tape and bags over here, and he's got some tape, and he's got a marker. So as everything's coming apart, he's going to go ahead and label it. And I would just recommend that if you've never built a bucket before, you can see back here these return keys that we're doing. These have not been pre-assembled before they went to paint. We pretty much know where the holes go, where it goes, and we move right ahead with it. But if you bought a kit from us, it does not take that long to assemble it. It doesn't take that long to take it apart, and then when you paint it, you know everything's going to be fitting, and we'll go back together. So I would highly, 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 highly recommend get the bags, get the labels, mark it, because if you would buy a kit from, we've already started doing the bagging. This is the green 23. This is the green 23 front. If you would buy a kit from Spirit, all your nuts and bolts come in a little package. It says, whatever it says, master cylinder. Looks like the Panhard. So you got different bolts and different packages when you first assemble a car around. Something I noticed on this one, we might as well talk about it. This is set up for a Vega steering box. You can see the Vega box will mount here. There's a Pitman arm that comes up, and we'll show you on the other car over there. And it comes across, and they call it a slingshot steering setup rather than a cross steer. If you get a picture of this right here, see this piece here? It kind of looks like a slingshot. I'm guessing that's why they named it like that.
I think so.
Yeah, probably. So if you put a rubber band on there, you took this upper arm off, you could probably shoot the neighbor's cat. But I wouldn't recommend that because PETA, some guys, they don't like to do that. I see a problem here. It works. A lot of people will do this. I've seen it many times, and the car will work. There is a thing called an Ackerman angle on it. And what happens when you turn, say you turn to the left, what you want is your left wheel to turn sharper than your right wheel because the arc coming around in the circle. Now, but when you turn right, it's got to go just the opposite. Your right wheel's got to turn sharper than your left wheel to keep that same arc. Otherwise, you're going to push. If you look at these steering arms, and you see the angle of these steering arms, can we see that looking down straight there? We see the angle of that steering arm, and I'm going to move this little table for you. Get a straighter look at it. Can you get both of them at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you see these arms coming out, they're going out at an angle like that. What you want, the Ackerman angle is, he figured it out, that's the guy's name. If these arms were turned around and put on this side, and the drag link was behind, one, you wouldn't run into something and bend your wheels both in. But two, the angle of the steering arm, if you made a direct angle, it would go directly to the center of the differential. So that is the Ackerman angle. We're not going to go into the mathematics of it, but if you basically have that triangle happening, what will happen when you turn left? The left wheel is going to turn more than the right wheel. When you turn right, the right wheel is going to turn more than the left wheel. So FYI, that will work. Your car will push a little bit. If you hit something in the front, it'll bend this rod, and when this rod bends, it'll take your both wheels in. But this is the drag link right here. And since we're steering our left wheel, there's going to be a steering rod that goes across the pitman arm. We're steering our left wheel, and you can see this rod steers the right wheel. So we're steering the left wheel, and the left wheel is steering the right wheel. What you have on an axle here is a 4-inch drop axle. It's a spring over setup. It's a spring behind setup. The original axles were spring over. They would have a hole here, and the spring would come up over the top of the bat wing. But to get a little extra lowering on the car, years ago, I'm not sure who did it in the first place, but moved the axle behind, actually lowered the axle down. It's lower than what it would be on a spring over, and then we have a spring perch. It's kind of a traditional look for a T-bucket. We have radius rods on here. If you look at these, this is what we call a Spirit style radius rod. Can you see that very well? You can, okay. So this is our Spirit style radius rod. There's another one that's called a hairpin, which is on this one over here. You can see this is called a hairpin. Now you know why that would be called a hairpin?
Because it looks like a hairpin?
It looks like a hairpin. I've never used one, but I think it looks like a hairpin. It could be a paper clip. We could call it the paper clip front end, but nobody knows what we're talking about. What we're going to do, we're going to disassemble it, take the brake lines off. Rear end, this is, again, these are radius rods. It's our Spirit style radius rod. You can run a 4-link. You can run triangulated 4-link. There's lots of ways to do it. You can run a wishbone. There's no one way to make it work. I mean, make sure your wheelbase is right. Make sure it's not, all cattywampus as far as, one side short, one side long. You don't want, in your frame, you want parallel. You don't want it going down the road sideways, but fundamentally, there's not a whole lot to the suspension. It's pretty simple. It's been around a long time. We use a 10-bolt rear end. Works real well. It's a strong rear end. This one happens to be disc brakes. So this one's coming apart. Getting ready to go to finish. We're going to have it finished. You can see on the welds, we've got some welds that are all exposed. You can see our welds. You can see welds around here. This has sat for a little while, so it's got a little bit of rust on it, but that'll all be sanded off, sandblasted off, whatever you want to do. I got a couple cars here that we've been working on. So if you look at the front ends on these, in this area here, we've actually sanded and did a little body work and did a little body work on top here. You don't see a whole lot in the front, but you can see around here, this is going to have more of a traditional shock rather than our friction shock. But we like to clean up at least the areas where you see on the sides, because mainly the front of the car is what's going to show when we get to paint. We like to paint the rotors. We like to paint the calipers, although you don't see a whole lot of it. You can see some of it. You can see the calipers. If you look on this car, of course this will have a cap on it, but you do see through there. And the cleaner the car, the better. This has got a lot of chrome on this front end. Again, this is the shocks that are just more of a traditional type shock. We've got a spring or perch cover. For those of you who've been watching this show, it's this is, you could say part 2. We did this one yesterday, I believe, didn't we? I was putting the low car shifter on. So if you watch yesterday, it's real clean. Like I said, you can just hear how tight that is. And I can't pull. I got to push the button, but I can't go into drive. I got to push the button to get all the way around. I can stay in my drive parts here, but I got to push the button to get to neutral. I can go to reverse from neutral, and I can get to park. So I'm good. We have our trans cooler. We put the trans cooler under the car. When you get to this part on the car, it's time to be meticulous. Don't skip through. It's easy. I don't know. It's easy for me to do 40 things at once, but once I start getting to this area, I really like to stay focused. Make sure I kind of left off right here, putting my fuel filter in. I don't have my clamps on here. I don't want to do something else before I put them clamps on. I will figure it out as soon as I start running the car and it blows loose, and hopefully it's not going down the highway and I've got gas everywhere and start a fire. But those kind of things, if you just stay meticulous, go one step to the next, every once in a while stop back. We haven't put a board up for this one yet, but what we'll do is once I get the body on, which is about to go on, I'm going to go ahead and I'll make a board so I know which things I still have got to do. So that for today, I think we've got an 11:05 done on. Stephanie's been doing a great job putting a lot of stuff on YouTube, and we're going to go right from this. Did you figure out how to go to YouTube? So she's nodding. YouTube. We're going to go YouTube Live, and like I said, we're going to do the same thing, except I'm going to stay focused on building a T-bucket 101, and we'll go through the whole process. I'll probably go through the process of Ed. Sanding and prepping the frame. That's probably going to be painted today or tomorrow. It ain't going to be painted today. When's it going to be painted?
It should be tomorrow.
Tomorrow we'll get the frame painted. We've already got the body painted with flames on it. Real cool. Some ghost flames, so we can wet sand and buff that. And we'll just go through all the processes of building a car in our 101 thing on YouTube. So if you want to follow through on that, that would be good. I've got the books, except I found something. Uh-oh, she's going to fall. Don't fall.
I'm not gonna fall.
Okay, don't fall. I was worried. Got my traditional yellow books, but yesterday on memories, a memory came up. I had someone thought they were an artist. I was going to do some art with them. I was going to do a sculpture or something. Are you an artist? Ed says he's an artist. Ed said he's like the most awesome airbrush guy, so Ed's okay. Ed's an artist. And I don't know. Stephanie, are you an artist?
I am an artist.
Oh, you are an artist. Mm-hmm. What makes an artist?
I enjoy art.
You enjoy art?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm an artist.
Okay.
I enjoy it.
I'm not sure if I'm an artist or not. If people pay you for it, that's a sellout. So I had this on my Facebook page from yesterday. It was from 3 years ago. I looked up some quotes, and I'm going to just read these instead of my coffee break contemplations or my, what's the other one? Pass it on. There's a few of them here, but they're all worth it. Art is a collaboration between God and the artist, and the less the artist does, the better. That's Andy Gidd. Art doesn't have to be pretty. It has to be meaningful. That's Dwayne Hansen. Weeds or flowers? Two, once you get to know them. That's A.A. Milne. I'm sorry. Creativity is intelligence having fun. That's Albert Einstein. All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. And that's J.R.R. Tolkien, in case you don't know The Hobbit and the trilogy, Lord of the Rings. He wrote those books. Always dream and shoot higher than you know you can do. Don't bother just to be better than your contemporaries or predecessors. Try to be better than yourself. That's William Faulkner. They always say time changes things, but you actually have to change them yourself. Andy Warhol, he was a character now. You've got to learn your instrument. Then you practice, and then when you finally get up there on the bandstand, forget all that and just wail. That's Charlie Parker. And I have not played for a long time, but I used to be in several different bands, and I can relate to that one. There are always flowers for those who want to see them. That's Henry Matisse. And my mother said to me, if you are a soldier, you will become a general. If you are a monk, you will become the Pope. Instead, I was a painter and became Picasso. That would be Pablo Picasso. How do you say his first name?
Pablo.
Pablo Picasso.
Pablo, maybe?
Okay, and here's the last one. The whole earth is the true master's canvas. And that would be by some guy named DC. So, for today, we got 11:05. And if you can find us on YouTube and want to see the same thing over and over again, we'll probably do the same thing, only a little different. That'll be up to Stephanie, though, if we go on live right away. Till tomorrow, have a good day.